As I continued to talk about the birth rate decline globally, I was asked to talk about the Nordic countries. And this woman, she gave a hypothesis. She said, I bet the Nordic Scandinavian countries' birth rates aren't going down as fast as everyone else. They have paid maternity leave. Their education system, particularly Finland, are the gold standard. I'm interested in what you find out. So I went digging. I used her comment as a jump off point. Let's get into it. So here are some of the Nordic countries: Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Iceland. So I didn't look at all of these, but I did look at a few of them. And their birth rates are just as low as many other countries that I have been looking at. It looks like Sweden is right there with the United States. Switzerland and Denmark are less than replacement rate as well. It All of the Nordic countries that I saw when I was doing my searches are less than 2.1, which is the replacement rate of how many children per woman it needs to be to replace the generation that is dying off. So this one is particularly about Sweden. Why are birth rates in Sweden falling? Fewer and fewer children are being born in Sweden, while the average age of first-time mothers is rising. The latest figures from the Statistics Sweden show that fertility rates in Sweden have fallen every year since 2009, and that the average age of first birth is the highest over a very long time. But none of the explanations researchers referred to in the past seem to be sufficient at this time. So how can this development be explained? Now, what I find interesting about this is that you could literally replace the word Sweden for America and it would make sense. I just literally think, this is my explanation, women simply don't want to have as many kids. And the high birth rate that was in the past is because women simply didn't have choices. So as we look at countries that are pro-woman to extra patriarchal, you're still seeing the same thing. The birth rate is dropping. Falling birth rates have long been the subject of discussion in Southern and Eastern Europe. Similar trends aroused among our Nordic neighbors in more recent years. The issue has been on the political agenda in Norway and Sweden, with the Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg recently encouraging the population to have more children. The decline in fertility is strong in other Nordic countries apart from Denmark, so this is very much a part of a bigger change. The fertility figures in Finland, Norway, and Iceland are lower than they have ever been. Explanatory models for the decline in birth rates that demographers have identified in the past are linked to economic trends and the labor market situation or to family policy. This correlation has been particularly strong in Sweden. The fall of fertility in the 1990s was directly related to the economic crisis of that decade, but this time researchers do not see the same link. This time, the pattern of lower birth rates started in 2008, which may indicate that it has something to do with the latest financial crisis. But if we look at the economic parameters, that crisis has limited impact in Sweden. It was just a blip in the curve. The economic parameters have looked really good during the subsequent year, and unemployment has been low. The Nordic countries are usually the role models for high fertility. According to research in this area, this is linked to the structure of social and family policies. The fact that it is easy to combine children with employment thanks to generous systems for parental leave and childcare is assumed to make more people inclined to actually have children. But as there have been no significant changes in family policy, this does not explain the downturn we now see. Okay, let's go to Finland. Finland had a record low birth rate in 2022. The total fertility rate was 1.32 in 2022, which was the lowest rate since monitoring began in the year 1776. In 2021, the figure was 1.46, which represents an increase in the fertility rate recorded during COVID-19 as it rose from 1.37. This slight upward trend in births has not been steady over time and is well below that recorded about a decade ago in 2010 when the Finnish fertility rate was 1.87. As for the proportion of firstborns among newborns, this trend has seen a slight increase with 43% in 2022, while in 2018 it was 41%. On the other hand, the number of second and third births decreased last year, 19,500, or firstborns. You can look at the rest of them as far as second, third, and fourthborns. According to Statistics Finland, this decline is due to families opting not to have second or third child. Finnish researchers say the declining fertility rate is related to cultural and social changes leading to higher standards for starting a family. Swiss birth rates hit an all-time low. I don't think Switzerland was on the chart for Nordic countries, but still, I found Swiss birth rates. The birth rate in Switzerland last year fell to 1.3 children per woman, below the European average. According to the latest figures from the Federal Statistical Office, the Swiss birth rate has fallen to its lowest level in 20 years, 1.39 children per woman. This drop could be due to financial or family policy reasons. In 2022, the number of births in Switzerland decreased by 8.5% compared with 2021. Since 2010, the birth rate has fluctuated steadily around 1.5 children per woman, but in 2020, it fell to 1.39. Another possible cause could be the lack of flexible family policies in Switzerland. In Swiss society, women are still considered to be responsible for parenthood in the sense that paternity leave has been recently introduced and is short. I really don't think that this is the issue because even in places where family policies are very liberal, women are still saying no. And then they were like, finally, the drop in birth rate could also be to deliberate choice to not have children. That's what I'm trying to say. Is there a researcher that will actually just ask women why they are having no children, having less children, or what would make them have children? Why won't these people just frame the question in a way that makes women actually answer? Okay, we can see that at the moment there is a lot of discussion about what it means for a couple to have a child. There's also a lot of debate around the responsibility that comes with having a child. There are lots of different reasons why women are opting in, opting out, or choosing to be one and done. And I simply think, from what I'm seeing across the board, the global trends are saying that women just want to have less children. So, as many of us get more and more freedoms, I believe that this is where things are natural. Those times of women having back to back to back babies, that is over. Is not going to get above replacement rate because in those times women didn't have choices in their fertility and their reproduction and and all of this. Now women are opting out of marriage and we're opting out of having all of these dangling babies. Women are saying, get someone else to do it, especially since we're not getting to the point in society where we're talking about responsibilities in the household where men are taking on the roles of actual parenting the children versus just providing money financially. So I think all of this plays into it. But you guys can go ahead, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. I explored all of these countries because people were wondering. But if I have a country that you want me, if you have a country that you want me to explore, go ahead and drop it in the comments.